I'm so excited that you're joining us today and able to be with us once again for these fantabulous guests. So I've got so many different words I want to use to express how wonderful my guests are each week. And today is no exception. Today, we have the amazing Sharon Connolly joining us. And Sharon is just such an amazing superhero of so many different ways and so many different angles within life, within work, and as an incredible human being. So Sharon is a change management specialist and has been working globally for a number of different organisations over many, many years. She's also incredibly the founder of Change Superhero, and she's also created this incredible and wonderful business around Change Superhero, as well as many other IT trainer and other interesting image consultant roles that she will tell us about throughout the show today. So without further ado, please tell our hosts and our guests today a little bit more about yourself, Sharon.
Thanks so much for having me here, Michelle. I'm delighted to be here. I'm very excited to be going out on LinkedIn Live as well. So as you said, I work as at the moment, I'm in a change communications role on an amazing project at AMP, where I'm just loving working with the team at AMP. But my journey to becoming a change manager is very varied. I started a long time ago as an IT trainer. So I used to, in actual fact, I started doing that way before we were teaching people how to use a mouse, when you actually used to have to load the disks onto a computer before you could use the program. So I did that for a long time. And then when my kids were little, it was quite difficult to have that job with children, with the times and all the traveling. So I decided to dabble in something else. And I actually sort of accidentally, just by following up with a hobby, and this is what happens a lot of the time, I became an image consultant, and I actually was an image consultant for about 12 years, which was a fabulous job, doing makeovers and working on TV and clearing out people's wardrobes, taking them shopping. And interesting, we can talk more about this as we talk about the things that bring me to where I am today. That is actually probably the toughest change management job that you can do, because you will really, you've got resistance, you're changing people at their core on a one-on-one level, you know, and you're changing what they see in the mirror every day, and you're changing how others view them. So when we think about some of the things that I've done, like image consultancy, having no bearing on what I do today, even the IT training, anything about, you know, shifting people to new systems, upgrading them, even a little stint as an aerobics instructor where you have to break things down and deliver them in a way that people can understand. All of these odd jobs that I've done in the past, fantastic jobs, contribute to making me a much better change manager. And it's interesting because when I came here to Australia about 5-6 years ago now, I actually found it quite tough to get my first job, and I'm really appreciative to Westpac for giving me a chance to get back into corporate life. But I found that the skills that I had, all of these great entrepreneurial skills about how to build and leverage every aspect of now what we do in change communications, it wasn't valued. And now it's one of the hot commodities. Is, do you know social media? Do you know how to promote yourself? Do you really know how to engage your audience across all of those different platforms? So it's interesting that my skills have come full circle and now really helping me out in my everyday delivery.
And what a journey, and you know, from moving to Australia and setting up a new life, which would have been, you know, quite a big challenge and a big change management exercise in itself, I'm sure. But I love how you've kind of looked at all of the different experiences and all the different types of roles that you've held, and appreciate how that's what's made you the person that you are now. And I love when people really recognise and accept that that's, you know, the gifts and the beauty of who they are today. So
yeah, and I should add there, before coming to Australia, I actually was in Singapore for 7 years. So that is a huge cultural change. And again, the situation that I found myself when I went to Singapore, I wasn't doing IT training anymore. And through various my circumstances at the time. I just needed to do something, and that's when I sort of got back into the IT training, just because I had to earn a living. And it's just going, okay, so I'm in a fix here. I'm not in a position where I can get a job or I can earn money, but I need to. What am I going to do? What skills do I have? And people would call me, or from networking opportunities, and they say, "Do you do customer service training?" And like, yes, I do. I'm not able to do it for, I'm so busy. I'm not able to do it for at least a month, but yes, I do it, and then you'd go and you Google customer service training, and you put it together and you'd create this program, and you just think, okay, I'm a trainer. And as a change professional, one of the things that you know how to do is to take a huge amount of information, condense it, and deliver it to an audience in a way that they're able to consume it. And those are one of the skills that I think are inherent for change managers, to be able to take that information, package it, and then deliver it to an audience in a way that they can understand it. It's not about you becoming an expert. It's how do they consume it and make it part of their adoption going forward.
I really like that, because whether it's a change manager or anybody nowadays, it's about taking that mountain of wealth of expertise and knowledge that you have, and then being able to package that up. So that's one of the first questions I like to ask my guests, around whether it's what you were describing about with image consulting, and that journey that very personal journey that you're taking people on, through to IT trainer, or using those skills to get new work. What do you think success now, and out of all of that, what does success today mean to you?
Success, as somebody who, if we look at the situation that a lot of people will find themselves in at the moment after COVID, struggling to get their next position, for me, success is I'm now not going to struggle to get another change role. So, okay, maybe I'm not going to move from one to another, but I have no worries that if anything happened to my lovely contract at the moment at AMP, then within 6 weeks I'd be working again. So that is success, because that gives you a peace of mind, because I'm now fairly well known within the change community in this area. I've got my change superhero as my buffer for any, if I wasn't working for 6 months, then we can work on change superhero. So it's having that freedom and not having to panic, and also being able to then consider any roles and think, is this right for me? Is this what I really want to do? Is this going to make me happy? As opposed to the situation that I've been in the past. Here's a job, just take it. It's 6 months, and nearly all the time things have worked out really well for me in most jobs. I'm quite a happy worker, and I'm happy to roll up my sleeves and get stuck into anything. If the change role requires me to go and buy the muffins and do the photocopying, so be it. That's fine. I'm not precious about what I do, as long as I'm busy and productive. But the success, I think, is a little bit about freedom and space to decide, what do I want to do next. And also, as a contractor, sometimes you can't afford to take holidays. You're thinking, yes, they're making me take 2 weeks off at Christmas. That's a big issue, and that's not an issue anymore for me. So that's good.
That's great. I can really hear that you've moved into that lovely space that some people may already be at and others may be aspiring to, where there's a little bit more freedom and control. And I love how that freedom and control is what you define as success, because a lot of people, I think, in terms of their career, are actually still looking for that sweet spot where you don't need to take every role that's offered to you, but you can also then, if you do take it, make it work for you and make it work towards your longer term goals. What do you think then, if that's success, what do you think you're passionate about? Is it similar things or something different?
That's a really good question. I'm happiest when I'm helping people. I mean, I really enjoy when I'm in a role. At the moment, I've got some really good change analysts working with me. We've got some people on Secomment. I love to be in a role where I'm helping people to move to their next stage, or inspiring people to do more, or even just teaching people. And it's interesting, because if I'm in a role that I'm purely teaching, I get bored. I love to create and motivate. And I think it's so important to recognize about yourself, what do you really like to do? So I like to create, I like to teach, I like to inspire, and then I'm fed up with it. I want to go to the next thing. So I recognize that I'm really not so much a detail person. Once it's created and it looks more or less good, and this is where you need to surround yourself with people. It's like with Change Superhero. I create something and then I say, Lily, can you check it? Can you read it? And she'll come back with all of the mistakes. And, did you really want to say that? Or let me give you a system for this. And it's good to understand what your strengths are and what you love to do. And of course, you need to push and challenge yourself to get better at some of the things that are your weaknesses, but to really recognize, look, I'm good at this. This is what I'm going to do. And then get other people to help me to do the things that they're good at and that they enjoy, so that everybody can be working in a space that they are really happy in.
I think that that's so true, and especially when it comes to living your life with the areas that you're passionate about, or creating as much of that as you can in your life. And it is interesting working in corporate and also working with small business or business owners, because the starting out business owners, especially if they're moving over from corporate, they seem to understand less of this idea that, just like in corporate, you don't want to do every function in the company. So when you're setting up your business, you don't want to do every function.
You have to, and it's looking back at the time that I spent in Singapore, and I spent quite a lot of time in the speaking industry doing keynote presentations. I was very lucky to present in, I think, something like 12 countries around Asia. And I remember sitting in the audience and people would say to you, say no, don't do stuff for free, choose what your price is and then stick to it. You've got to turn things down. Actually, no, sod it, I just need to pay my rent. And you do have to do things. And it's not until you are in a position where you've got a bit of financial freedom, then you can turn around and you can say, actually, no, I'm not doing that. No, that's not in line with my brand. But sometimes, and if you read things, going back to me as an image consultant and interested in all things makeup, and I remember reading Bobbi Brown's autobiography, where she, said, I would just knocked on doors and I would do everybody's makeup for free, just begging, can you give me a platform for my skills? And there's a part of you that needs to do that when you're starting, and it's just walking the streets and knocking and saying, please let me speak, please let me show you what I can do. And the people who say no, you have to set your price point, you have to say no. Actually, you just have to get work. And sometimes when you've got that work, when you look back, you think, I've changed what I want to do. This is what I thought I wanted to do, and it's now morphed a little bit. So it's continually refining what you like to do. And if you love to do it, but nobody wants to pay for it, then it might not earn you a living. It might be a hobby.
It's a passion.
Yeah.
A passion, and having done some strange things like aerial yoga at times, I completely agree with going and trying things and giving it a go, just to again see whether it's something for you or something that isn't necessarily you. But then you can say, I've done aerial yoga and laugh.
I've not tried that one. I don't like heights much, so maybe that one's not for me.
It's not that high, but it's very, very painful.
Okay.
So let's move on then to, in terms of success and mindset, and what we were going to focus on then for the main part of the chat today is around when people are working full time, or when they're in their business and looking for perhaps part-time work. A lot of them might think, oh, it's too hard. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't have the this. I don't have the that. I think from what your amazing journey is, that you've really shown that you can do both successfully. So what
you can.
3 tips that you might give, or tips that you might give to people?
Probably watch less TV. So people are saying, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time. Well, okay. So how many episodes of Maths have you watched this week? And how much time have you spent on Facebook and things like that? And I had 2 children, 2 little children, when I was running my own business in the UK. And, if I wanted to work out, I would have to be at the gym at 5:30. if you want to work out, you will get there and you will do a workout at 5:30, or I used to do workout at 9:30 at night, just before the gym closed. So if you want to do something, whether it's start your own business, whether it's study, you will find time. You know, if you've got 2 children, somebody else is managing with 4. So you can't compare, and somebody else who's got 4 could compare themselves to somebody who's got 6 and is caring for sick relatives. There's 24 hours in the day. You do have to look after yourself, and you do have to become smarter with how you work and become more organized. But if you really want to do it, if you really, really want to do it, setting up a side hustle or earning some extra money, it could be 5 hours a week. You have 5 hours a week. And if you don't have 5 hours a week, then organize your life better so that you do have 5 hours a week.
I think that that's a really, if I was to summarize it with one word, I'd think prioritizing. So the key for me when reading and preparing for today was around women especially, but everybody needing to prioritize their financial future and taking that time, whether it's taking it out of mindless time in front of the TV or on Facebook or wherever, but taking an hour or 2 a day or a week, but making that first step towards managing and controlling your own financial future.
Yeah. The issue that you've got there is if you're just prioritizing it for your financial future, it will be more difficult to do. If you're prioritizing it because it's a passion, because you've got something that you want the world to know about, or you've got a mission that you're on, you know, like mine, to make everybody awesome at Microsoft Office and PowerPoint. It's not driven by money. Now, it's great when these 2 things can come together and your passion does earn you money. And that's when you've got to have some of those smart entrepreneurial skills that I gained throughout all of the different things that I have done. You don't get them as a corporate change manager, but you do get them as an aerobics instructor, as an image consultant, all these extra little bits and pieces that I've done when you're trying to get what you're passionate about out to the world. But when you're just motivated by the money, that's when it's difficult to get up at 5 a.m. and write a chapter of your book.
So what do you think, again, coming back to the mindset for success, what is it that drives you to get up at 5:30 a.m. to write the chapter, go to the gym, etc.?
It's having the end in mind, you know, knowing what you really, really want to do. Sometimes it's actually having a deadline. So I did write a book. I had it published previously. And I was given an advance for the book, and I was given a deadline, and I had an editor, and those things made me get it written, because if I didn't have those things, it would still be probably on my computer at chapter 6. So being accountable to somebody, I had to have a chapter finished every week to give to the person editing it on Saturday morning. So even if I came in at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, I had to sit there and finish off that chapter. And I did that, you know, just because I had that deadline. And for me, getting that done, having a deadline, making a commitment to somebody. And with the Change Superhero courses, and it's a popular thing that a lot of educators do, I don't write a course until I've sold it. So, you know, I'll put out there the next couple of the ones that are coming up. I'm going to be doing running surveys, and I'm going to do PowerPoint animation. Both of those will take me quite a while to write, but I'm going to advertise them, and I'm going to see if I've got people interested in them, because otherwise I don't want to spend 3 days writing a course that nobody wants to book on. That does then pressurize you, you know, a week before the course to go, okay, I thought I'd go on a picnic today, but no, I can't, because I've got to write this course.
So it's working to those deadlines.
Yeah. And sometimes you just have to impose them yourself. If nobody else is going to put a deadline on for you, you've got to impose it yourself. What's going to happen if you don't get up at 5 a.m. and write a chapter of your book? Well, nothing. And then your book won't get written. Does that matter? No, sure. It's not a goal that's going to happen for you.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well how I'm still hearing some fabulous stuff about that self-motivation and the goal setting and the accountability, which are all great tips, wonderful tips around helping you to kind of stay on track and keep going. Would there be one other possible tip that you'd want to share today?
I think it's about momentum as well, because one of the things what people ask me about with Change Superhero, a membership site. Why have you not got a membership site? And I said, I don't have a membership site because then I can't just give up. If people sign up for 12 months, I can't decide, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to stick with my day job. And I am considering the membership again. But the thing is once you've got momentum and you've got a tribe of followers, I try to do at least 4 templates every weekend to send out to the audience, because I know that people are waiting for them on Sundays. They're like, what's Sharon going to send us? So there's an expectation that people have. So sometimes once you actually have that momentum, you have people following you, you become known for something, you have to keep it up. It's a little bit like being an image consultant as well. Not that most people know that about me anymore, but when I was doing that in the UK, you can't have a day where you go to the supermarket dressed like shit, because everybody's going to say, I was going to book a session with her, but oh my God, no. So it's about having this momentum. And when you do put yourself out there and you get known for something, you sort of have to keep going. Of course, at any time you can say, no, I'm done, but it's not something you want to do when you've spent so long building up this following of people that are waiting for stuff. You're helping them, and in some ways as well, you're part of their lives. People come to me at AMP as well, and COVID aside, if it wasn't COVID, they feel like they know you because they get a newsletter from you every week. So they want to hug you and buy you a cup of coffee or buy me a glass of wine because I'm in their inbox sometimes three times a week.
That's fabulous. And it's that contact. I think that's a really important element, whether it is face-to-face or in the inbox, or whether it's through being able to go to your fabulous website and see your different templates there. So that's one of the things that struck me, was how generous you are through Change Superhero. And I'm sure in other ways with your IP around all of the incredible knowledge and expertise that you share with everybody. How do you think that this again is part of that success mindset then?
It's a massive part, and people should know that I didn't actually mean to start Change Superhero. I did it by accident. So it started when I was in between contracts and not in the position you were. I was talking about the comfort factor that I have now, that I can move from one job to another fairly easily because I've got a reputation in the industry. When I was moving about a year ago, I'd got a role, but it wasn't the easiest role to get. And whilst I was waiting for all the security checks to happen, I was sat here for 5 weeks. And I thought as well, I'm not getting any younger. I'd had a conversation with Nicole, who I know was one of your guests a while ago. And I said, do I need to worry because I'm in my 50s now? And she said, no, you're good in change management, but you aren't getting any younger. And I just thought, okay, I need to make sure that people know what I stand for, what I'm passionate about, and how I deliver change, so that if I am sat there for an interview with people who are a lot younger than me, then people need to know what it is I can bring to the table. What does my experience mean? What am I passionate about? What are my thoughts and my ideas? So I thought I need to get active on LinkedIn. So I started to write articles. And one of those articles, what I did was I did an infographic, and the views and the likes just went through the roof. So I think that one infographic that I did, actually, it was an infographic. It was a response to Scott Morrison in the fire. I did a one-page thing about him not managing change very well. And I got 20,000 views on that, from something like, 150 on something else. And then I thought, these infographics, there's something in there. And of course, I'd been doing them in my job anyway. And I just started, as COVID hit, I started to push them out there and give them away to people change managers who I knew would be struggling to communicate the changes to their teams. So I started to give that away. And my partner would say to me, why are you giving this stuff away? Why are you giving it away? I said, look, nobody's going to buy it. They have no idea who I am. I have no mechanism of selling it. I didn't have a website. So I used to put them up there, and I used to ask people to message me if they wanted them. And I would come back and I'd be sending out 500 of them. It would be crazy. I still had no idea that I was going to teach Change Superhero. And people started asking me, how do I learn to do these infographics? You can't learn anywhere. Nowhere teaches you to do, everywhere teaches you intro to PowerPoint, intro to Excel, intro to SharePoint. And you actually need somebody to teach you, how do I get my job done on these applications? I haven't got a 3-day course to go on. I need to know how to deliver change using PowerPoint. How do you deliver my single source of truth on SharePoint? I don't need all of the stuff around it. So, and that was always my philosophy on providing training to fix a problem rather than training for training's sake. Let's have a look at what it is you're struggling with, and let's provide you the solutions. So again, I sat down one day and I created the website myself on Wix, and here again are my sort of entrepreneurial skills. Yes, I know how to design a website. Yes, I know, some basics around it. I hadn't used the application before, but quickly learned and then put it online. Yes, I knew how to do PayPal buttons and things from all the stuff that I had done before. And I went into my partner. He said, "What have you been doing all day?" I said, "I've just put a course online." And he said, "Yeah, oh, yeah, right. Nobody's going to book on that." And as soon as I posted it on LinkedIn, within minutes, 2 people signed up. And I can remember saying to him, "Oh my God, what if 5 people turn up? If 5 people turn up, I'll make $1,000 if 5 people turn up." And this is, again, my surprise and amazement and no planning of how this happened. And I think, and there are freebies in here, but I think we're now on, in less than a year, more than 3,000 people have done training with me, or 3,000 people have done training courses.
What an incredible achievement. And just as we're coming to the end of the show, I really know that there's a lot of people that would also be wanting to know, if there was one thing that you were to say to your younger self, what do you think that might be? What advice would you give your younger self?
Well, apart from don't diet, don't diet. I think it's to really surround yourself with people who inspire you and people who help you to move to the next step. When I was an IT trainer, I had no idea about networking. I also had no idea about mentoring. It wasn't until I changed my career to be an image consultant that I started to network, and in particular business women's networking. And this is when you all of a sudden go into a room and there are people like you. There are people who have got kids and are juggling and are absolutely nailing it, and who have got ideas and are trying to get them to market. And you sit there with people who go, yes, you can. And also, as you help these people, you get ideas and motivation sparks. So doing that, also joining things like, in my time in Singapore, joining things like Professional Speakers Association, learning about the whole freemium, giving things away and how you engage people, things like drip feed marketing, all of these things to get an audience and continue to engage them. All of those. So I think it's putting yourself in the right place with the right people around you that tell you that you can, but don't just tell you that you can, because my mum would always say to me, yeah, you can. If I wanted to be an astronaut, my mum would say, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You need people to say, okay, so you want to do that? What are you going to do about it? You've told me that you want to write a book. Get up at 5:30 and do it. Okay, I'm going to hold you accountable. If you haven't done that at the end of the week, then I'm not going to work with you on this anymore. So it's finding the people who motivate, support, guide, challenge, hold you accountable, and make you want to move to the next step.
That's so true. I think that's fabulous advice to finish up on. So that whole area of making sure that you surround yourself from as early as you can with people that are going to support you with what you want to do, but also hold you accountable. So it's not just daydreaming with all of that. And very quickly, Sharon, how can people get hold of you after today?
LinkedIn is the best place to connect to me. I put loads of content out there, so you can follow me on LinkedIn, and you can also sign up for my weekly templates on the website, which is changethesuperhero.com.au.
Fabulous.
Thanks so much, Michele.
Thank you, Sharon, and it's been such a lovely conversation today, and we've really travelled. I feel like we've travelled around the world like superheroes in capes ourselves, travelling through many different roles and different situations. So thank you so much for being my guest today on the show, Sharon.
Thank you. I wanted to say thank you as well to Robert, and who's Robert and the lady next to him that just smiled the whole time. It maybe it's just their picture. I'm thinking that they're looking in and they're actually smiling.
Yes,
I've just realised it's just a still, but they were smiling at me the whole time.
Thank you to all of the people on Zoom today and all throughout social media, on Hello Gina on Facebook and everybody else on LinkedIn and YouTube, and it really makes my heart sing to have so many people come in and listen to the show. So next week we have the exciting and amazing Adam Franklin. So another very, very giving person like Sharon. Adam has a number of different templates that can help you with your LinkedIn, and we'll hear much more about that next week. But until then, as every week, I really send my heart to your hearts and wish you all the best, and be great, be fabulous, and be you.